Karnataka. It's our happy privilege, sir, to welcome you. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being on this panel.
Thank
We,
you.
we also have with us Dr. Shravan Kumar, who is the head of the department in the Department of Physiotherapy of Nizam's Institute of Medical Sciences from Hyderabad. He also holds very responsible positions in the NTR University and the Nizam's University. So we are extremely happy to have you amidst us, and I'm sure you'll be able to share us thoughts from what's happening in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, or even both the sides, and then from the university side in across your state. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and being on the panel. We have with us Dr. H. Karamanan, who is an associate professor from the School of Allied Health Sciences, Manipal University. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and being present with us. Um,
Thank you,
and
sir.
we have with us one of those special persons for me, and that's Dr. Dhruv Thaneja. And I'm happy that he has been my student, and also he's a PhD scholar. He's taking care of a lot of responsibilities in Rajasthan and, in fact, in North India. And he is now working as the associate professor in Maharaj Vinayak Global University as a chief of physiotherapy. And he's also a part of the Royal Orthopedic Hospital and Sports Injury Center in Jaipur. Uh,
Thank you very much, sir.
we are extremely happy to have you with us. We have somebody really special, and that's making us go international. And India with physiotherapy has always been an international affair. And so we are extremely happy to have the General Secretary and spokesperson from NEPTA, Nepal Physiotherapy Association, Dr. Shamed Kadila Shrestha. And you must be very aware that a lot of students from Nepal study in Karnataka, and by default, you become a part of the physiotherapy program in Karnataka and India. He's also the executive director of Orthoplasty Rehab Center and pediatric physiotherapist, and also a part of the BPI Foundation in Nepal. Thank you, Shamet, for accepting our invitation and being a part with us in today's panel discussion. And I'm sure you will have a lot to contribute and a lot of concerns to raise, maybe on behalf of the students who are studying in India from Nepal. We welcome you to the panel and we're extremely happy to have you with us. And
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure.
we have a very, you're welcome. And we also have one more person, and he's been, you know, the wall and the sword and the shield protecting physiotherapy in the state of Kerala, which is the first state in Kerala to have declared as a no COVID state. And that's Dr. Gopakumar Panikar, who is the president for Kerala Association of Physiotherapists Coordination. We're extremely happy to have you, Dr. Gopakumar, with us. And on behalf of the Karnataka State Physiotherapy Federation and on behalf of the organizing chairman and the members of the Karnataka State Physiotherapy Federation, I extend a hearty welcome to all the panelists who are present today. And also, in a short while from now, we will be joined also by the syndicate member from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, and that's Dr. UT Iftikhar Ali, who is the brainchild behind a lot of progressive physiotherapy work that's happening in the country. Dr. UT Iftikhar Ali, we are welcoming you beforehand because we may start with the panel discussion by the time you may join in. And he's also a professor from Dr. M.V. Shetty College of Physiotherapy in Mangalore. We welcome you, sir. And on behalf of the entire organizing team of Karnataka State Physiotherapy Federation, we welcome you for this webinar titled Contemporary Learning During COVID-19 Students Preparedness for Exam. Over to you, Dr. Mallikarjun. He's going to be the coordinator and moderator for today's sessions. And Dr. Mallikarjun will be posing some of the concerns as questions. And we expect and hope the panelists will give in very lively, satisfying, contributing answers. But there's a request from the entire team, since there's a lot of panelists and a lot of students who are joining in. We would request you to be precise and concise with your answers for the questions that are going to be addressed. And we hope that everybody will put it together in a time frame of at least 3 to 4 minutes to give your answers to be more specific and clear. So thank you for being present, and over to Dr. Mallikarjun from now on for the questions, and I will be assisting Dr. Mallikarjun in moderating the entire event. Over to you, Mallikarjun.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful introduction of all the panelists. We all are aware about the lockdown. It's been almost 45 days, more than 45 days from now. So we were having a lot of webinars which was addressed to clinicians and as well as the physiotherapists. So KSPF, Karnataka State Physiotherapy Federation, under the chairmanship of Praveen Aaron sir, has come up with a nice initiative addressing towards physiotherapy students because they are in a panic state. So it is a high time that we address to some of the issues which have been faced by the students. As you all know, today's topic is contemporary learning. So let me start with the first few. We have few questions which we have highlighted. And there are a few questions we will be taking on later that will be from the students. So today, the first question is contemporary learning or e-learning, its importance at present situation and any other means of better delivery of contents. So you all know that we are shifted from a traditional teaching to e-learning, that is contemporary learning. So what is your take on message on contemporary learning?
Mallikarjun, before you continue with the questions and the panelists get to answer, let me welcome a couple of people more on the panel, because once we proceed further, then we may be interrupted. I am sorry that I missed out to welcome Professor Ramesh Kumar Jayaraman, who is the professor and HOD from the Department of Physiotherapy, Sri Devaraj Urs Academy of Higher Education, Kolar. We welcome you, sir, and apologies for introducing you in between. And we are also joined by Dr. UT Iftikhar Ali. Welcome you, sir, once again to the team. Thank you all, and we may proceed with the questions now.
Mallikarjun, continue. Ali sir, welcome.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, there is a miss out at Mallikarjun's end. By the time it comes in, I will just repeat the questions what you had posed for. We all know that we are moved into a transformation phase, and we know that we are entering into a phase of contemporary learning, or what we call as e-learning.
E-learning.
So we would like to discuss about its importance at this present situation of COVID-19 and any other means for a better delivery of its contents.
Well, first one is because physical distancing. Ali sir, you talk.
Yes, I have, Dr. Aaron, if you give me 2 minutes, I want to first explain why we are going to do e-learning.
Please go ahead, sir.
Because above all universities, we have UGC, University Grant Commission. I don't know how many of us have gone through it. As soon as it happened on 20th April, if you go on their site, they have given. So I feel our e-learning or contemporary teaching has to be based on that. They have specified the ways how we can take exams. So let us teach the student in the similar way. So before we go and have ideas of e-learning, I can give you the page numbers, and if you allow me, I will just highlight few things about it. So UGC very clearly mentions, as far as the PhD students are concerned or masters, they can go in the laboratories for research, keeping in mind distancing. As far as the examinations are concerned, they are very clearly mentioning these may include MCQ based examination. They are also talking about open choices, open book examination, assignments, presentations, and spotters. So we need to go in that when we are talking about teaching. Two, they are already asking, UGC is asking a 3 hours exam has to be 2 hours exam. That means 100-mark paper has to be 50 marks, and increase the time because the students are maybe under stress. So having 50 mark and then double your thing for your mark sheet. They are also saying you can take the exams in multiple shifts, not necessary of taking it all in one time.
Alisa, they are asking about e-learning importance now.
So yeah, so we want to know how to take exam. Then it will become easy how to teach e-learning. So
Okay.
if the students will say we were not taught in that way. So if I go through this UGC rules, it will become easy for the teachers to tell them what to do. Now they're already saying if your internal, UGC had a law, you can have 50% internal and 50% external. Not now, not COVID, before COVID. So our university was practicing 50% internal marks. That means every day is exam for the students. And they say you can use that 50% mark on the basis of the pattern of internal marks, and you can double it up if you want to give it. That is for first year, second year undergraduates. They are very clearly mentioning that 50% mark can be awarded on the basis of performance of previous semester or internal mark if available. In short, they are saying you are allowed, if you have internal marks, you can multiply the internal marks and make it into out of 100. Then they are also given an option that 100% evaluation may be done on the basis of internal evaluation. So they are giving you a freedom. UGC is giving you a freedom of using your internal marks or whatever they have been doing, or the logbook, whatever they will be having. They say the student should be informed. I'm just going through all the UGC highlighted things, and then I'll come back whichever is required to be said in details. It is also being said that each student should be informed at least 1 week in advance about the examination, whether you could do a video examination, or whether you're going to assign them, or whether you're going to take spotters. Then it's also talking about Viva. UGC is talking about Viva. Viva examination can be taken through Skype or any other meeting application, video application. And in case of intermediate semesters, the practical exam can be conducted during the current next year. Means if there's a second year students, that practical exam of the second year or first year can be taken after the college opens. Coming to the last point, UGC has given a very clear instruction about the examination date. Terminal semesters, they have written from 1st July to 15th of July. And intermediate semesters, it's from 16 July to 31st July. I'm over. So I feel our e-learning has to go on to the basis where universities allow you to take exam in different ways. Our university has completed. We have completed our post-graduation examination through spotters. We have given them dummy. We have told them take anybody from home and say, imagine this patient, this case is having knee problem.
Sir, practical, sir.
On video, you can do it.
But what is the proof that that candidate is this one?
Answering. You say this patient has ONE or medial meniscus test. The therapist has to tell you all the tests that has to be performed.
On video call.
On video call.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ali Irani sir, for giving us insights about the examination part. I would like to divert the same question to Dr. Sanjeev Kumar sir, principal of KLE Institute of Physiotherapy. Sir, will you be able to just enlighten and throw more insight on the importance of e-learning in this present situation?
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone, and hello to Dr. Iftikhar and Dr. Ali Irani.
Welcome, Sanjeev sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to all the panelists. Very interesting webinar is being called. And here I'll talk a little bit about the e-learning in present scenario. I think by now every college and institution must be adapted some format of contemporary teaching. Now, what exactly happens in the contemporary teaching or e-learning? You give some lesson, or you give some teaching through, or you deliver certain thing through e-learning platforms. There are several platforms are available through which you can use it, like Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, GTM, Go to Classroom, Cisco, WebEx, Skype, Zoom, and WhatsApp. So you can use any one of this type of platform, and you can give your information to the students. Now, what is important here? What is important here? There is a difference between the e-learning and direct learning. I mean, classroom teaching. Classroom teaching, what advantage you are having? You are having students in front of you. And when you are going to go for e-learning, the students are not in front of you, but of course they are distantly learning. Now, present scenario of this COVID-19 has put us in such a dock that uh, even if we don't wish, we have to go this particular pattern of teaching and training. It's very important for us exactly to slowly shift to the this online teaching platform. What is the good thing about this teaching? You will be having directing the students for self-directed learning. You will be directing the students for the better learning on their own. You can have some repository developed for your own institution. This is the very important thing as far as the e-directed learning or e-learning is concerned. Now, what is important here is that when you are going to go for practical aspects, some time back, Dr. Ali was telling that yes, we can do practical also. In fact, when we tried doing this practical part online, it gone haywire. That means students not able to perform exactly what you are intended them to perform if you are going to teach them on call, or otherwise whenever you are trying to go for clinical training, there is accessibility to the patient is doubtful. So e-learning has got little limitation as far as the clinical and practical teaching is concerned, but yes, it is very good as far as theoretical teaching is concerned. So what we are planning is that we will continue with our theoretical teaching. We will try if we can be able to do certain part of practical through this. So this is about contemporary learning and e-learning, what I understand as far as present scenario is concerned. And it's very important in the present condition. So this is about first question.
So, as we all know, e-learning is the main source of some information to the students. So, we go to Dr. Ganesh Kumar. Sir, what is your say on this contemporary learning and e-learning at this present situation?
Good evening to all the panelists and all the moderators here. And once again, acknowledge the gratitude to the Karnataka State Physiotherapy Federation for giving us enough platform to address the students during this crisis. So considering this, the examination or the e-learning system, definitely, I believe that it's a very big paradigm shift in the Indian education system. What I am trying to say that even though we are operating from the home or work from the home using the laptop, this particular situation is a forceful adopted digital technology. So what actually we were all not mentally prepared for this particular seasoning. We were all having a traditional classes and our students were having from some credential sake or some credit sake, we are teaching them the online courses. But what has happened is this particular sudden lockdown and sudden things has forced us or compelled us to adopt online learning or digital technology. So it is what we are doing is a kind of an experiment with the students as well as we are also learning or going through a lot of phases. Only we understand that very few of the universities or very few of the institutions are having a lot of softwares for educational softwares like Impartus or other softwares for regular e-learning or virtual classroom or lecture capture system. But the majority of the institutions are having a traditional classes. So I believe that what we are going through the present scenario is a teaching or a digital technology experiment with our students. So that is the reason we believe that to overcome this crisis, a mental support and an anxiety, overcoming reassurance is more vital during this situation of this COVID crisis.
Thank you, sir. So over to you, Praveen sir.
At this time, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Pachala Apparao, who is a Senate member of Dr. NTR University of Health Sciences from Andhra Pradesh. He also is in line. Thank you, sir, for joining us into our panel. And right now, we would like to discuss the same question with two more panelists who are expertise in these areas about the e-learning, and that is Dr. Shravan Kumar. We would like to hear your views, followed by Professor Ramesh Kumar Jayaraman, where we will try to come to a consensus about the thoughts in about e-learning? Dr. Shravan, you have to unmute your mic, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Like we have been doing e-learning this last 1 month. So, and we also have been facing some technical problems with e-learning. So the major technical problem is most of the students are from remote areas where don't have access to computers or the digital smartphones. So that is one problem we have been facing with the students. And the other problem what we have been facing with the students is that there is no engagement from the student side. So at the same time, the technical problems is we can't do a knowledge check. So like the way we used to do digital method, we can't do a knowledge check when you're doing a digital teaching. And with the digital teaching, we don't see students are understanding the concepts very clearly. And we also can't reinforce them to learn with the digital teaching. So, and again, with the digital teaching, there is lack of self-discipline in the sense students are not oriented towards the lecture. So they switch on their mobile phones and keep the video in the lock mode. So we exactly don't know whether the student is listening to our lecture or whether he's not listening to the lecture. So apart from all these things, even from the student's perspective, the students are not inclined to learn because there is no social interaction with the fellow students. So, and at the same time, like we are also monitoring attendance through the e-learning apps. So at the same time, the other problem is that we are not sure whether he's the same student or somebody has logged in from on his net. So these are all the technical problems like which we have been facing. And like with practice, I think within a period of time, we'll have a solution for all these things. Over to you, sir.
Praveen sir, you have to unmute. Okay, I'll thank you, Shravan sir, for highlighting us the merits and demerits of e-learning. Now we'll go to Professor Ramesh Kumar sir. What is your view on this?
Yeah, Sarvan sir said the exact plan what we are facing. He has just exactly told what we are facing with our students who more are from community issues. When he spoke about contemporary learning, it's a direct one-to-one interaction will be there, and there will be a personal touch with the students where the mentor can able to interact with mentee and able to see the progress in that. And contemporary is a control environment and it's a teacher-centric this. When you come to e-learning, so there is a technical support where internet and online platform is needed, and it's an uncontrolled environment where students skip in between. And e-resource is the main medium for that. And e-learning, the teacher has to be trained into for the learning management system, uploading the videos, using the technology. That is another area where we need to concentrate. And monitoring student progress, digital evidence creating is another issue. What we do is the students who has a less technical support, who's in the village side or community side, so we used to give the WhatsApp documents as well as the audio where they can learn anytime. Fortunately, we have a learning management system in our website. Once the Zoom class is completed, the recording is uploaded in the internet. So the student can able to study in their own phase in the evening time. They can able to cope up with that. And regarding assessment, we can see the next thing. So we are improving well in our e-learning in our institute, and student interest also little challenging, like Sarvan sir said, but 80% we are doing good in that. But it's a time to check for the e-learning, which is the future of the education system.
Thank you, Ramesh Kumar sir. I think Dr. Danesh Kumar wants to raise up some points. Please, over to you, Danesh Kumar sir.
Yeah, adding on to the Dr. Shravan's and Dr. Ramesh Kumar, the points exactly what they quoted. If you check into the statistics survey, the students present about the physiotherapy education, what we are talking about, or health science education students, if you check it around, I believe there is 18% of the students are having computer accessing skills, and around approximately 19.5% of students have internet accessing skills. So this is a one where we should understand that before loading the online or before there is an or bringing some modifications in our curriculum or design or change of system, which is according to the present statistics. So I would like to add on those points. Similarly, the rural and urban population, the computer, see if you check into the urban, hardly 20% of the youths are having a computer, the facility. Similarly, the internet access around 40% of the youths are having. So this is a 2 points where if you check into the urban statistics, and in spite of having computer or digital skills or the skill accession techniques. So what we have to overcome this, actually, this is the main thing to be addressed in terms of the health science students. Thank you.
One more thing I like to say, once we are the healthcare model, the practical and clinical content delivery model should be developed along us. We should have an expert committee where we can able to deliver the practical and clinical content through the e-learning. That we need to have a interaction among the senior faculties.
Thank you very much, the panelists, for giving us views on your thoughts. So what I come to conclude is, number one, in fact, our curriculum and design was actually not designed for an e-learning. And it is high time that we are required to transform this curriculum and the learning methods. See, of course, the examination comes as a part of learning. Examination is a part of learning. So examination is not a separate entity. So when we change the learning methods, of course, the examination methods also come to a change. So number one, what I try to conclude is like we were not actually prepared for this transformation. Two, we need to this happened during the mid of an academic year. And so the institutions, the individual institutions or affiliated institutions are deemed universities were actually not prepared to put the students and the faculty members, their entire academic team to such a setting. So there needs to be some workup that needs to be done in both these areas. And three, it is high time because more than ever before, India's future depends upon the strength and dynamism of its youth. And in this fast-changing world, accelerated by new advances in electronic technology, actually only a dynamic, exuberant generation can put our country on a strong footing. So keeping these thoughts in mind, these lines in mind, when we admit the students in the coming years, we should prepare the entire scenario for an e-learning system where even the admission, as a prerequisite to the admission into a program, a student, he or she must be required to procure a laptop or a tab to prepare for the studies, and modules may have to be created in these lines. The practical sessions may have to be created in these lines. Several of simulated learning experience may have to be brought in these lines. These are the thoughts that I come across. And as academicians, most of us may have to prepare and work hard in this coming 6 months, because COVID-19 is a transformation of the entire generation. And COVID-19 is not going to get over. We are going to live through it, through the safety and directives the government has taught us during this lockdown period. Thank you. Over to you, Mallikarjun, for the next questions. And this will be forwarded towards some of the other eminent people who are expertise in the student concerns. Mallikarjun, please.
Thank you, sir. If I want to put it under one word, that is acceptance of change, exploring the new learning education system, and progress for better future with available resources. So we'll go to the next question. That is, we'll go to Professor UT Iftikhar Ali, sir, directly. Sir, what are the do's and don'ts for the students during this pandemic, and how to overcome this, and how the students can concentrate on studies?
Mallikarjun, thanks to all the speakers. Do and don't students have given me only, but I think first thing is physical distancing. Personal hygiene also is important. Avoiding unnecessary gathering, shopping, on all is important. You should make use of online, whatever the viewer spoke now. Sarwan sir, Ali sir, and Ramesh sir, Danesh sir all spoke. E-learning, that is important. Mental health, stress-free, and focused living also is very important now. And I think students sitting at home and all this coming out with 3-4 months with parents, they are going to come out with good food habits, physical fitness, improves immunity also. And sitting full time with the laptop and iPhone phones and TVs, I think they have to come with a posture awareness program also. Educating society and near ones also is important for students. So I feel these all few parts, do and don'ts, where students have to look for. And especially they have to stop circulating fake messages in social media. If at all they get in news, contents, unreliable contents, whatever it may be, that is more important. Educating society is more important for students, I feel, to the near ones and dear ones.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Dr. Suresh, sir, you wanted to say something?
Vice President.
Yeah.
Sir, good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody. Sir, actually regarding this do's and don'ts by students at this particular point of time, so very important is everybody is panic actually. So nobody knows when this COVID is going to end. But ultimately we have to understand one thing, that we all have to live with COVID. So maybe probably after a few months or few years, it will be like a common cold and flu how we are having. So first is acceptance is very important. We have to accept that there is a problem, so we have to fight it out. The worst thing at this particular time is it's a lot of social media messages, social media newses, and spreading those messages to one to other. That is one thing which they have to avoid. Second thing is, please don't watch TV news. Every time TV news, it is about COVID, panic. They'll make people panic, So don't watch TV related with COVID, and just relaxation, mainly relaxation, because most of them are anxious. So anxiety is one of the important things here. So the psychological support to the students. So psychological support, moral boosting to the students is very important. Next important thing is start watching some good movies. So you have to divert yourself from this COVID to, the routine activities. And another important is you have to educate your own people, like your parents, your friends. And most important thing is talk to your people who are who will give you good things apart from your COVID. And of course you have to start studying, start attending this your workshops, your webinars or whatever. But one thing related with the first question what your people have asked regarding your webinar and all, so one thing I felt that yes, we have no other option apart from learning through these webinars or e-learning. But the most important thing here is that they will listen what you say. But physiotherapy is something, which we need to learn practical things more than theory. Because we all can study from textbooks also. Whatever we are talking, we can study from textbooks also. But practical knowledge and practical things, what we have to demonstrate, that is one area where we are lacking. And if somebody can find a solution for that, it will be really good for the students. And second important thing is, you really cannot monitor students whether they are really listening your class. See, in normal class only, it is very difficult to monitor students. But in online classes, you will be sitting in front of the mobile or computer and you will keep on talking and you don't know whether they are listening or not. These are the two drawbacks apart from what other people have spoken. And I think that's it.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll go to Dr. Karvanan, sir. So what are your message on do's and don'ts?
Yeah, thanks Mallikarjun for this thing, and thanks for the things for the giving a wonderful opportunity. Okay, so firstly I'll just try to do why we are here as a teachers. We want to prepare the students for overcoming these issues. Okay, so we have to overcome the issues and we have to prepare them because they are in the uncertainty. What is going to happen for them, that is not clear with that thing. Okay, so psychologically, as everyone said, they are not ready for the thing. What will happen to their exams, how they are going to complete the thing. So what we are going to do is we have to encourage the students and we are going to formulate a work schedule that will address the major part of the syllabus and whatever the daily routine to the thing we have to tell them. And we have to give confidence through the head of the institutions and this thing about the uncertainty of the exams, or that as a teacher we have to play a very major role to take the stresses. Okay, we are not going to rely more on the thing for the exams or those things. See, if you see this thing, before there was a something called a chalk talk method. They used to write on the whiteboard and they used to do, and from there we developed from so many things, and then we have reached to this level of thing. In this situation, we are just trying to tell the students to attend the classes through the webinars and this thing. As everyone said, there are some drawbacks with this thing, but as the students, many of them, they are appreciating this. There is one thing is, what is the benefit of this thing? There are large number of students are taking some messages from this thing, webinars and those things. As a teacher, we can able to concentrate only on some particular part, but with this thing, we can able to concentrate more of the peoples. And as we say, that active participation is not there. We are whatever we are teaching in this thing, it is becoming a very monologue presentation. Students is not actively participating in the webinar. So what is my thing is, we tell the people to make a very smaller groups. Even the webinar we are doing, we are trying to cover this thing. We take a small group of people in the webinar only. We can make the students more actively participate. Instead of getting into like 50, 60 people, we can make some groups. The same classes can be scheduled so that the students also will be more actively involved, and this will lead to some success. So what the thing is happening? So if you put all 50 students in one class, we don't know how many of them are listening or not. If you make some groups of 10, 10, 10 each, we make them actively participate. So we can't blame the students, they are not actively participating. So it's in our hand. So we can make the better thing. So what I feel is, in this situation, we should not resist changes based on the thing. Okay, if we resist change, we'll left behind. So we have to react positively, and we tell the students to go in a very positive manner and take it. This is not going to be continue for a long term. This is a short term. So we tell them what are those things we can able to give, that will be given. And if they're not getting anything properly, that we can address that things in the later phase of things. So what for me is, we tell the students to react positively, and we give more psychological support to them. And whatever the changes occurred in the environment, we have to take it, and we have to give the better education result. As everyone said, there are so many forms of examination or whatever those things is going to happen, but that is not the major concern. Okay, the learning is continuing. How we can see, or how the students can take their learning in a very active manner, that we should see, so that it will be very useful for the students. Just as everyone said, if this, as Suresh, everyone said, they should not keep taking advantage of the online classes, the don'ts and all, they should not do. When they do active participation, that is on our thing, teachers. They will become in a better thing. That's what I can say.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you, Dr. Karavanan, for this contribution. I would like two more people, that is Dr. Dhruv Taneja, to answer on this do's and don'ts, followed by Dr. Gopakumar, because that's the first state actually to have cleared of the COVID. So they will be in a much prepared way as to what are some of the do's and don'ts they have already conveyed and communicated to the students. So Dhruv Taneja, followed by Dr. R. Gopakumar.
A very good evening to one and all. Am I audible?
Yes, of course.
Yes, yes, go ahead.
A very good evening to the extreme maestros in the field of physiotherapy and my very good friend Dr. Mallikarjun and respected Praveen sir, Suresh sir, UT Iftikhar Ali sir, and Sai sir. As I came across all the views from the students recently, so what we came across about a very fascinating and a very shocking thing, like what the students are reporting nowadays. Once we had a conversation with them while on Zoom or while taking the online e-learning classes. So what these students say and what they have to learn and what they have to understand about the situation currently, as the student said, is that, sir, don't worry about the situation. Don't worry about the health conditions about us, because we all can see very recently on the TV news channels, and even the ads are also popping up nowadays regarding the immunity. As once the person who is very much immune will not be attracting the COVID virus, and he or she can easily come over it. But they should understand one situation very clearly, that this is not the question only about yourself. This is the question about each and everyone near you and inside your family. They must be having kids, They must be having the elderlies, grandparents, everyone. Their immunity will not be up to the par as per their immunity. So once they go out, because we can nowadays, even Jaipur, you all might be aware about the situation in Jaipur. We have got around 1200 cases currently in today's report, and we are into the extreme red zone today. Jaipur is on the top third cities, but we can see where many students and many chaps moving around on the roads. Even they'll be chased upon by the police, and they will be having some sort of fun in that. And mostly they all belong to the students category itself. So they should understand about one thing. Once something happens to you, definitely you may not die, you may not compromise. But what about once you take this disease to your home? Once your grandparents or your parents come into the same situation, what about the kids at your home? So they should be very much cautious, and they should be very much like, they should understand the thing is that it is not a joke anymore. And yes, of course, right now also, like, we have to focus a lot to listen as well. Even I'm struggling to put my earphones inside, and I have to focus who is speaking currently and what all the topics are being covered right now. So that is also one very much big hurdle right now. Someone can freeze the video immediately, so we don't know whether he or she is listening or not. So that is also a very big case in the today's scenario of learning. We don't know whether they are learning really or not. What about the network issues, the technical issues, and currently how much the occupancy of the application is also allowed? Because once we deal with the classes where we have got enormous numbers of students, the application itself won't be sufficient enough to allow all the students learning to happen at one point of time. So again, the repeated classes has to also be taken by one teacher. So these were the small points what I just wanted to raise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dhruv. Over to you, Dr. R. Gopakumar. Gopakumar, sir, please unmute your mic.
Thank you, Dr. Mallikarjun. Thank you. Karnataka Association for inviting me, and Dr. Ayyappan. Sir, the do's and don'ts is the discussing portion. The impact on India and the world the COVID-19 has is not a small thing. Lockdown phenomenon will be the first in India. There is no doubt that, like every other field, it has had a significant impact on physiotherapy practice and academics. So we have to follow we have to completely follow the government instructions and health authorities' direction. That can only save us. But when there is a crisis in life, there is nothing to be afraid of. If it bear, the world not be as it is like this. Man's persistence should be seen as the main reason why Japan, which was completely destroyed during the Second World War, has grown into a powerful one in this world. Academics in the field of physiotherapy must also make these changes happen naturally. Students should not worry about it. My message is that we all are with you. The teachers, the universities, the practicing physios, everyone is with you, and you can move ahead. The exams will come, and don't worry on that. Go ahead with that. We all are with you. Thank you. That's a message which. Thank you, Mallikarjun.
Thank you, Dr. Gopakumar, sir. As we all know that many students in our college are from, most of the students are college from Nepal. So we have a person who represent all the way from Nepal who has joined us, Dr. Shamid Katil Shrestha. Over to you, sir. What do you say about the students, do's and don'ts? Because the international students, they have a lot of questions in terms of travel is concerned, when the classes will start. They have a lot of queries in terms of how many days we are supposed to quarantine once we reach India. So a lot of things are going in their mind. What are your views on do's and don'ts during this pandemic?
Dr. Shamid, along with the question of do's and don'ts, we would like you to start answering about what are the how to adapt from this traditional method of learning to new e-learning perspectives also. So just throw some insights before we pass on the questions to others. Thank you very much. Please go ahead, Dr. Shamid.
First of all, a very good evening to all the panelists. And I'm very thankful to Professor Dr. U.T. Iftikhar Ali, who happens to be my mentor, and I have studied from the same college, for giving this opportunity for me and also for Nepal Physiotherapy Association to represent Nepal in this webinar. And I'm also thankful to Ayappa sir for inviting me. So before going to the do's and don'ts, I'd like to add some points on e-learning that we are talking about. So the e-learning that we are talking about is as a result of an emergency condition. So there are so many, courses or curriculums in which there is happening of e-learning most of the time. But unlike those courses of management or any other courses, physiotherapy is mostly based on the clinical practicals and hands-on skill. So it is very difficult for, the education of physiotherapy to be done in e-learning. But howsoever, the condition of COVID-19 has made us to learn through e-learning. And I think we need to prepare differently than normal e-learning, because basically e-learning is all about learning through telecommunications, where we have lectures or classes or assignment made through online, and everybody just comes and be the participants of that and do assignment. But physiotherapy is not like that. So I think there has to be different model of e-learning for courses like physiotherapy, because now with the cases increasing, there is so greater number of cases increasing in India day by day. So I think rather than just normal e-learning of just coming into the Zoom and doing, there has to be some different models. When we talk about Nepal, there are only 2 physiotherapy colleges, which is university providing bachelor's degree, and there are only 30 students in Kathmandu University and 20 students in Pokhara University in single batch. And Kathmandu University is already has produced 7 to 8 batches. And the kind of e-learning they are doing is, they are giving assignments and then they're asking quiz and doing that. But now with the number of cases or COVID cases increasing, I think this the period of lockdown is going to be increased for more number of months. So I think with the all expert here, I think the model of e-learning itself has to be changed, because physiotherapy is practical based learning. So I request all the panelists, you all are expert in the field of academics, to have a separate kind of e-learning. I think can there be option of quarantine hostel or something like that, where all the students come, they are not allowed to go outside, and then they are taught practical in that kind of way? Because if this is going to happen for longer amount of time, they definitely, the practical aspect of physiotherapy is going to get hampered. So I would like to add that on e-learning. When I have to say about the do's and don'ts, yes, personal safety is the most important thing, because it is for yourself and also for your family. So we need to maintain the social distancing, and rather than using many TikToks video or YouTube watching movies, there is so many online courses that is available for free at the moment. So the student can can get involved in those kind of courses, online courses, and get some knowledge in the meantime, rather than just watching movies or something like that. And then also they can attend different webinars and Zoom meetings like this, where it can be fruitful for the students. When I talk about the don'ts, I think the don'ts is that this is basically lockdown. So most of the student or people, they are gathering, at the late evening after 5 or 6. So I think that is the wrong thing, because a quarantine or social distancing means it is for 24 hours. We are not supposed to meet. So not even in a part of a day, in early morning or early evening, they should meet, or have like get together or something like that. So those kind of things should be avoided. And as Praveen sir said to add me about how to transfer our traditional education into e-learning, I would like to add that the education system that we are having now has already been advanced than what it is used to have. I think like 10 years ago, there used to be blackboard, chalks, marker board. Now almost all the classes has PowerPoint presentations, and the transformation of education has already begun. But in the meantime, what has happened is this e-learning is a result of an emergency. So we are not ready to it. So it is difficult at the moment, and it is more difficult in country like Nepal because students are from rural areas. They, I mean, like have problem with internet facilities, and some may even not have laptops. So it is difficult for those kind of students to, like do e-learning or read it through the internet. So it is very difficult for us at the moment because this has happened as an emergency. But then if it was done all as a system, and I mean like slowly, if it was the transformation was slowly, everybody could have like kind of adopted. But as it is happen at a once in emergency, it is very difficult now because the normal classes cannot be operated because there is lockdown by the government, and then there is even problem with the internet facilities and all the kind of gadgets that you need for webinar and all. So it is difficult, but then we always need to be doing continuous learning. So I think the professor or the teachers, whoever, I mean like are in the field of academics, they should I mean like come up with a plan, either like even though if they do not have Zoom, or I mean like it is free, but then most of the people are active in Facebook messengers, WhatsApp and Vibers. So the teachers even can use that kind of platform where the students are using it frequently. And then the other thing is that it is difficult to do the examination and assessment, but then you always have email, like we can I mean like the professor or the teachers can take a class in a topic, and then they can give assignment, and the student has to, I mean like submit the assignment through emails and all. And the thing is that some
Samit,
student
sorry to interrupt. I'm happy to see you from another country, Samit. Welcome. And what is the present scenario in Nepal?
Sir, there are altogether 99 cases in Nepal but the amazing fact is that, amazing or surprising, that out of all the 99 cases, there is not even one symptomatic cases, sir.
Oh, good. See, what in the discussion of Rajiv Gandhi, we are having a few issues with Rajiv internship student from Nepal. For that, yes, we have written about your orthoplast hospital also. So we are trying to recognize few of your people where they can continue the internship. We'll let you know. Huh?
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Okay, continue, Samit.
Okay.
Yes, Praveen, sir. So I would like to conclude with the thing that the transformation of education needs to happen, but as this has happened as a result of emergency, I think the professor and the teachers who are in the field of academics and they have more number of year of practice, they should try to bring all the student under the same roof of internet or any medium of like e-learning, where all can come together, where it will be very much less cost effective or something like that, and continue with the education right now. That is the only one solution, I think, because we cannot have regular classes now for almost 3 to 4 months, I guess. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shamit. So if I want to sum it up with the opinion of the panelists about do's and don'ts, that is hygienic practices as situation demands, and use or utilization of the time which is away from the college, developing a healthy food habits, use of technology in an appropriate way, and coming to our don'ts, as you all said, avoid fake news, media, avoid extensive entertaining social media. If I want
True.
Okay, so the next question was, it was already given opinion by Dr. Shamit, that is how to adapt from a traditional method of
Mallikarjun, sorry to interrupt. Dr. Mallikarjun, sorry to interrupt. We would like to hear few words from Dr. Ali Irani, because I realize that he has got some other appointment and he needs to probably
to break the fasting time.
Yes. So please we would like to allow you to talk, and please go ahead, sir.
What I was hearing to all the speakers, one, I tell my student, assume we are all going to get corona. So that increase our immunity. To increase immunity, we have our old grandmother's formulas of having turmeric and milk together. That is haldi doodh. Having vitamin C and vitamin D has been proved to increase immunity. Vitamin C can come from oranges. I have at least 2 oranges a day. Then guava. And for vitamin D, we have drumsticks. If drumsticks are the main ingredient of any sambar, or you can put it in dal also. So drumstick is important. Taking hot water every 1 hour at least. Sipping, even if it is a sip of hot water or tea, coffee, is going to assume. Then coming to the teaching part, please, last 2 months we have been on e-teaching to our students. It's very easy for the teachers to know if the student was present or not. As soon as the lecture gets over, just ask them to set a short note what they've understood by your lecture. We have a blackboard in our university, so all the students are on the blackboard. So within next half an hour, they have to write and say what has happened, and they can send their feelings or what they understood about your lecture. So there is always a fear. They cannot go offline, and there's a fear that they would be asked something. So they would be online and they have to report on it. So I feel a new start. Corona has come to stay. So this is going to happen. Maybe tomorrow the government will also ask us about the sitting arrangement in the class. We have to start thinking now whether the student will come alternate days or whether they will be sitting apart or a bigger rooms will come. Examinations we'll have to go more on the theory exam coming online and they're appearing. I said practical exams were taken with spotters and on demos. They can demonstrate on their anybody's siblings or anybody at home. They have to assume. And please encourage your final year students, postgraduate students to come to the hospitals. We are building fear in them. My students are attending the hospital, and my hospital is a COVID hospital. Today we have got more than 130 COVID positive patients in our hospital, and our physiotherapists are going to the wards. So we have decided and selected a profession, which is part. We have to face it, and in many cases we are the frontline warriors. And COVID has to do with chest. COVID has to do with lungs. It's part of chest PT. So very important, and I wish everybody a safety passing through Corona. And please, any question, any queries can be asked, and our university is following UGC rules. We are taking exams. We are asking them to present the cases on WhatsApp calls and on Zoom. We are taking lectures. Our examination are on UGC basis. So our teaching has to be based on UGC, whatever way they want to take the exam. And I'm wishing everybody all the best, safe. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ali, sir. Thank you.
Ali, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali Rani, sir, for your experienced, thoughtful contributions and your participation and support in this panel today, encouraging and supporting all the physiotherapists throughout the country and across the country. Thank you very much, sir. Have a safe stay. Take care. God bless you. Thank you.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Over to you, Dr. Mallikarjun.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So we are into the new question, the next question. How to adapt ourselves or the students? How do students should adapt from traditional method of learning to e-learning? Over to Sai Kumar, sir. Professor Sai Kumar, sir.
Right. Good evening, everyone. All the senior most faculties from various universities and the fellow colleagues of my university and all the students who are listening very curiously to understand the changing scenario. And let me first of all thank the organizers for hosting this webinar, which is the need of the hour for the students, especially who are in uncertain scenario, not knowing what is going to happen, what is the future, and what are the changes happening. In that, I would like to focus on 3 points. first and foremost is the change in the teaching patterns from our traditional methods to e-learning is the basic topic what we are discussing. I have my views. There are advantages and disadvantages, and no doubt that is the only alternate method right now what we have in through which we can engage the students and keep our academic activities intact. But at the same time, as our few panelists were also highlighting, we are not prepared for this kind of learning methods. So there are different views. I mean, now we have panelists here from deemed universities as well as from affiliated universities with various colleges. Like we have from a few faculties from NTR University as well as Rajiv Gandhi University, which are with many number of colleges under the university. But there are deemed universities also where the number of students will be limited. So I would seriously think that it is very ideal to implement this e-learning methods with the limited number of students, but not with the students with various colleges under a university where we are not prepared. We have to understand one thing. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
Yeah, okay. We need to understand that our students belong to different economical background. They are from rural as well as urban. We are fine with utilization of the mobile phones, but do we seriously believe that every thing can be learned through mobile? That is a very important question to be put to ourselves and to students. I mean, of course, we need to accept the change. Of course, this is a forced change, which we are trying to accept based on the situation, but not based on the preparedness or based on the mental transformation we are trying to bring in. I strongly believe it is very easy to implement this in deemed universities because it's a standalone college and you can concentrate on the technologies as well as on the software what to be utilized. But when it comes to a university, state health university with so many colleges under it, you really don't know the kind of students who are admitted in various colleges, the kind of entry levels we are looking into, and are the students are really still economically sound enough to even have an mobile which has all the features to download these apps. So this is my serious concern. And many of, I think, Dr. Shravan Kumar was highlighting about we seriously don't know whether the student is listening to the class or he has just logged in and then, you are not seeing whether he is listening to you. There is no video nor audio. So we expect them to mute because it will be a disturbance for the teacher. So there are many questions to be put. Are our learning methods seriously reaching the students' population? Or is it really the content what we are trying to convey? Is it passing on to the students? Are the serious questions. But at the same time, this is really a welcome change, probably forcing us to think and relook at our learning methods, how we can change for the future. Probably this will change the mindset of the students as well as the faculties. It's not only about the students what I'm talking. There are even many faculties who are really trying to adapt to the changes. If you ask me personally, I'm from the old school of thought who believes that, you can engage the students when you are sitting in a classroom with a blackboard and face to face, and what you are trying to speak and whether the student has understood when you try to replicate it. So I seriously believe in that. And we are from a profession where we strongly feel that our hand skills, our practical skills, clinical skills are our main strong weapons. So if we have to come out of our profession and start our practice, we rely on our skills than our theoretical knowledge. So those are certain things which we really don't know in the current scenario. How are we going to teach? How are we going to impart that knowledge to the students? So that is a serious question which we still till now we have not tried to figure out. Because but one thing is students are engaged, at least if not 100%, the students who are studious enough, seriously interested in the education part, are seriously trying to attend, trying to follow it, trying to do whatever the homework or assignments given related to it. But a question is about the practical aspect, clinical aspect, and how skillful, how technology strong our student community is. This is something which we can think of a transformation for the future, but right now this doesn't suffice the actual learning methods for the students. This is my personal opinion, and I have many calls from the faculties as well as the students from various colleges who feel that this is causing a burden on the student community about usage of mobiles, their internet data, the battery backup, all those things, and their the vision looking at the mobile for a longer duration. So how long is it right to use in a day? I mean, many colleges would be trying to complete their syllabus because they don't know when is this lockdown lifted, when are the students returning to college, and what is the future of the exams, when the exams will be announced. So there is a lot of uncertainty related to the faculty as well as the students. So everyone are trying to rush, but are we really serving the purpose is a serious question which we need to put and we need to ask. So there are positives and negatives, but I have more of negatives because we are not prepared. But this is a welcome change. This is a good transformation which we can have for future, but it has to be properly structured. It has to be properly organized, and students have to be oriented, because I know that this is something which happens in Western countries with various universities when we go for abroad for education. But you need to see that there is a lot of upbringing in terms of the technologies used by those population compared to our country population. So these are a few of my views, and I strongly feel we need to think about various issues. Thank you.
Sir. As Professor Dr. Sai Kumar sir rightly pointed, that pandemic COVID has brought a lot of changes from faculty telling the students that don't use mobile phones to use mobile phones. So now I would like to go to Vijay Kumar sir, all the way from Mangalore, the Chairman Board of Studies undergraduate. Can I have you, sir? Sir is there?
I think Vijay sir's network is a little.
Okay. I'll go to Sanjeev Kumar sir. Sanjeev Kumar sir, what are your views on adaptation of learning from traditional methods to e-learning?
If you can pardon me, I would like to add one more point. Dr. Mallikarjun, can I add?
Please, sir. Go ahead, sir.
For all the queries I had just put, there was one solution given by various eminent people, saying that you can record it and then that can be forwarded to the students, so that students can watch it even at a later period of time. Probably that is the right thing to say, that the students who are missed out can watch it in remote areas. But still, do you think that would be the way forward method of learning? Because right now we have various YouTube channels where the learning methods, learning classes are already available, and we usually try to avoid our students watching them than attending in the class. So if that is the way going forward, I don't think then students will need to even attend classes or even listen to our lectures. So they can view this kind of lectures in the social media or various classes, various lectures which are available already in internet. So I think probably then tomorrow, once they are back to the college, they might be saying that they already finished that lecture in the some YouTube class. So this is another point to be added. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sai sir. Sai sir was talking about lecture capture system, as Ganesh sir has already posted in the chat, that most of the deemed universities are having a lecture capture system or recording system. Now I will go to Dr. Sanjeev Kumar sir.
Yeah. About this adapting from traditional methods to new e-learning. Now, there are certain segments we have to understand here. Right now, we are suddenly there was a change, and we have to adopt this e-learning system. Now, when we are adopting e-learning system, there are three resources are required for us. One resource is like Dr. Dhanesh said, there should be some lecture capturing system available in the place. That is one. Second, what Dr. Sai Kumar was suggesting, that is having a YouTube channel. Every institution should have their own YouTube channel. Every staff can have their own video, and they can upload it in the YouTube, and that can be made available for the students. The other most important thing is that what else we can do. So whenever the institutions are preparing the lectures, those lectures can be put up in the cloud of individual institution or of the individual university. So when we are changing from traditional to e-learning things, you should have to have the e-learning resources. Traditional resources are, you are already having everything. The infrastructures are made according to the traditional learning. And as far as e-learning is concerned, there is no infrastructure every individual institutions are having. So when you are talking about the isolated institutions, the isolation, yeah, yeah, when you are talking about the individual institutions, the infrastructure should be set up in such a manner that that can be adaptable to the new format or new resources. I will again quote what Dr. Praveen Arons has said, that is regarding having the changes in the syllabus. Yes, definitely, the curriculum has to change. Now, if curriculum has to change, when you are talking about the transforming from traditional to e-learning, yes, theory part you can do it very well. You can use YouTube and other video for some part of the clinical and some part of the practical aspect. There are one more concept is nowadays coming up, that concept is known as virtual lab. In fact, in medical teaching and training also, every year now they are using virtual lab. Similar type of thing may be thought of in physiotherapy. However, it is not at all available right now in practice as far as India is concerned. There may be some small virtual labs are available in some of the institutions. So when you are moving from tradition to e-learning, the important is that you should have to have a e-resource, you should have to have a infrastructure, and you should have to have the adaptability of the students. If all three are there, then compatibility of shifting from tradition to e-learning is possible. This is what is from my side as far as converting the traditional system to e-learning pattern. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If I want to sum it up with this question, was from traditional method to e-learning method, that is like recording of the classes, watching already available videos, and each college should have their own YouTube channel, lecture capture system, virtual labs, and sharing the PPT after the class. So if I want to sum it up with those things, we'll go to the last question for the panelist, followed by we'll be taking some of the questions from the students. The last question is preparedness for the exam post-COVID. How to prepare for the exam at this uncertain times, because we never know when the exams will be. What are the things should be considered as a student? So I'll go to Professor Ramesh Kumar, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Already we have formulated a few strategies for that, including MCQ based examination through software in learning management system, chapter wise MCQ preparation, and the internal assessment. What we are preparing is through the seminars and assignments and online quiz systems. This is where we are preparing the internal assignments. One more thing, we have our projects in 8th semester where we can give some credit for the projects, which can also included in the theory examination to support that. And we have encouraged our students to do some online courses during this COVID-19 time, which we can give credit for the value-added courses in Coursera and Swayam platform. That's also we are supporting as credits and marks for the adjusting that. These are the different strategies we are making up, but it will be implemented. We are ready, preparing everything for the COVID-19 lockdown period. We're preparing everything. So hopefully the lockdown will finish in 1 or 2 months. So the student will be preparing for that. Assignment and seminars also given chapter wise. So we are keeping students ready for either direct examination or online examination. So these are the strategies we are making it. And examination, time lag examination can be given. These are the areas we are looking into that. So this entire academy, our institution has prepared for this, including MBBS and other AHS students. Mallikarjun, you can carry on this with other panelists.
I think there is an hangover with
Mallikarjun.
Can you please
Yeah, yeah. Now I can hear you, sir. Sorry, there was some technical hitch. Yes, sir. Danesh sir wants to talk. Danesh sir has raised his hand.
Yeah, adding on to the point, I would like to start regarding the post-COVID scenario. The UGC has, as Dr. rightly pointed out by Dr. Ali Irani, the UGC has set up some guidelines which is applicable for the regular colleges or other courses. Now, coming to the point in terms of the physiotherapy or the health science education, what exactly we can do in terms of students' safety and students' reassurance, the percentage of attendance, the lockdown period of attendance we can deem to be attended. So one point where we can reassure that in their attendance percentage, by considering their lockdown period attendance as 100%, we can provide some kind of a reassurance in the attendance coming. Now, coming to the examination, the adoption rightly pointed out by Professor Ramesh Kumar sir, the adoption of MCQ system and the other the system where rightly creating the system-wise central nervous, because what exactly the MCQ also, when we come to the MCQ system, we may eliminate other systems in terms of pathology or pharmacology or other examination. We may request the medical faculties or the guest faculties to focus on more on the central nervous system or muscle physiology, which is related to the physiotherapy in this crisis. So they can set up the question paper or MCQs, what is exactly related to our physiotherapy or the integration system. And that is about the MCQ or setting up the question paper. Similarly, coming to the practical examination, we need not conduct any examination practical on the patient or on the hospitals. So on this particular crisis, we can definitely conduct our examinations in the colleges at our laboratories, skill labs or exercise therapy or any labs by using the student models or some simulation labs. If we are having attached to a medical college or any other, we can use a simulation lab. We can also conduct with that. And one more thing is like, here already in the panelist and in the Dr. Iftikhar Ali, the syndicate member of Rajiv Gandhi University, Dr. Sai Kumar, the Senate member of Rajiv Gandhi University, Dr. Panikkar, the Kerala State Federation, and Suresh Babu Reddy, Dr. Suresh Babu Reddy, the Vice President, Dr. Praveen Aaron, the Chairman of UG Board of Studies, and the Vijay Samuel, the Chairman of the other. What I would like to tell you that the UGC has given a lot of liberty in this particular things. So as long as the physiotherapy is considered, I request Dr. Iftikhar Ali's kind attention for this, because the students will be coming back to the examination situation with a lot of anxiety and lots of panic reaction, how to face the examination. So I believe that the physiotherapy as such, we do not have a central council right now, because when you talk about the medical, dental, pharmacy or nursing, they have a set of guidelines, and the examination system, they have a control. So in terms of Rajiv Gandhi University examination, the physiotherapy, we do not have an apex body. So definitely the physiotherapy students should be given an additional opportunity of having supplementary examination exactly after 4 weeks, one more examination. This is what the deemed universities are followed up because of the flexibility. So definitely the Rajiv Gandhi University also, since the physiotherapy do not have a central council or any apex regulations, Dr. Iftikhar definitely can reassure the students in terms of yeah, no, without, and UGC also set up the guidelines to provide this particular season a carryover system for the failed students without losing their year or without making them to set back or stay back for another 6 months or another 1 year. They have also given an liberty to create a carryover situation. So these are all a kind of liberty what we have, as due to lack of apex body, it is an advantage. And similarly, coming to the post-COVID scenario, the dissertations or student projects works, we can avoid, the mentors or the guides can avoid giving the topics on patient models, where we can ask them to concentrate on the dissertation based on the field-based survey or on the interviews or the software-driven projects, etc. We can for a given period, we can keep them, our students, from the non-COVID or COVID patients exposure for in terms of reassurance. So this is what I would like to add in terms of examination and preparedness on the post-COVID scenario. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinesh sir. Actually, whatever the Dinesh sir has spoke, we have a lot of questions regarding that, because many of the students have posted many questions. But when I take the similar question, I'll straight away go to Professor Sai Kumar sir and Professor UT Iftikhar Ali sir, because many questions which are from Rajiv Gandhi, they are studying in Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Science. They have only one question which has been asked by many of the students. The question is, exams post-COVID, is it online or offline? It's the biggest question. So I will straight this word to Sai sir and UT Iftikhar Ali sir.
Online exam, Rajiv Gandhi is ruled out. Sai, matado.
Sir, I think our Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences Honorable Vice Chancellor had called for a meeting with all the physiotherapy college principals a week back, and the meeting was basically to discuss on the various aspects of students.
Sorry to interrupt. Mahendra sir, can you make Sai sir's screen on this thing presenter mode? Because this is the most important question he wants to answer. Can you make it as a presenter one? Not audible. Presenter screen.
Yeah, Mallikarjun, I couldn't get you.
Okay, sir. Sai sir, please go ahead, sir.
So the meeting which was conducted was basically to make sure how to go about the post-COVID exam schedule for the students. We have most important thing, the exams, supplementary exams, which are supposed to happen in April, which are still pending, and the upcoming regular exams, which are scheduled in September, October as a normal our timetable. So based on the discussions, what happened. So first and foremost, priority was given to final year students who are supposed to give in April exams, and provided they finish their exams, their academic year would be saved. So as a priority, the final year exam schedules are already announced. The timetable is already posted in the university website. That is from June 24th. And along with that, even the master's exam schedules also are posted from June 24th. That is master's and BPT final year. Because these are supplementary.
Hi, sir, you're gone on mute. Okay.
And even to conduct the exam with the social distancing, the spacing, as well as in terms of the center would be ideal for the colleges as well as for the universities. So this as a first step, which is already taken, and already the timetable is prepared and already posted. The next part is for the first year, second year, third year exams has to be taken. The call has to be taken based on the government decision when colleges can start. The students, when they will be returning back to the colleges, and when the full strength of the college will be functioning. So based on that decision, the exam timetable are supposed to happen. Because right now we are still in an uncertain situation when the complete lockdown will be lifted and when the students will be returning. Because the student community are not alone from the Karnataka, they are even from other states. and there are few states where the COVID pandemic is very severe, and probably the rules might be different to each state. And along with the different states, there are even from students from different countries. So when the international flights start functioning, when the normal movement will happen, air traffic as well as the road traffic. So these are all criteria which has to be
Sai,
taken.
sorry to interrupt, Sai.
Yes,
see, the panel. See, one thing is very clear. This Rajiv Gandhi University, in respect to physiotherapy or any other, we are more than 2.5 lakh students. Minimum 2 lakh students are enrolled, and up to 2.5 lakh in the data. If I'm not mistaken. We have more than 80 physiotherapy colleges, medical colleges 60, nursing 400. So we are from all countries throughout districts, states, inter-district, interstates. So now in other days meeting also, what we had in the syndicate, then again the Senate members, again the principals, the same questions are arising about the examinations. So what we are going to tell the students now is, you don't get panic. Some international, like Sri Lanka, embassy has asked all the students to go back to their country. So the last 28, one flight has gone back. And we don't know about the Kerala borders. We don't know about others. So we are involved with taluka level. We are involved with the examination to be conducted for each and every student from any talukas also. So my message to the students from the syndicate, Senate or Rajiv Gandhi or Vice Chancellor side, anybody is there, you don't get panic. Now you relax. You be on online classes. We will see how to help you in the student-friendly university, how to help you in getting down the examination pattern, as Aisa said, without a carryover system to be bought on, or should we keep to our supplementary exams to be together with the regular exams or not. This all we are planning to do something. But one single but I can tell you all, who are the viewers or who are the panel, one single but I can tell you all is 100% we are with the students, and university with the students, the vice chancellor, the members of all the faculty are with the students. We are seeing everything we are seeing in interest of the students only.
Another two points I would like to add along with, as Dr. UT Iftikhar Ali just pointed out, most important thing is students will be given ample amount of time to prepare once they return to the colleges. The exams
minimum 1 month.
Yeah, minimum 4 weeks, that comes to almost 1 month. So student preparedness, mental status for the exams will be taken care. So no one will be forced to do anything without their individual preparedness. So that is most important thing students should take a note of, and you need not worry about the exams. Exams are just a part of the academic career to just give you a certification, but learning the skills are more important. And another point which was put was whether the exams will be conducted online or offline. So let me tell you, in the last meeting with principal, Senate, syndicate members, so we see our Vice Chancellor made it very clear, exams will be offline only. It will not be online because of our strength, as Iftikhar sir just pointed out, the number of students writing from our university. So we are not prepared to go online. So though it is a very innovative idea, but as of now, we will be going through offline exams only.
But to make another one, we have online. We have come with online PDC. Now we have come online. Already we have PDCs online, and we are helping the internship students to try to get out, or whichever have gone outside state or outside country. We are trying to affiliate with the respected hospitals with the MOU certificates of the concerned NOCs, and we have to help the interns. And next is about our PG exams, especially PG supplementary exams. We were concerned about having it in June end, but probably we'll see how fast we can do that.
Sir, if I have a question already. Sir, I have a question to ask.
Dr. Shamit, please come in. Dr. Shamit, please come in.
Hello.
Followed by Dr. Suresh Babu.
Yeah, if this
Shamit, you can talk.
Yes, so many student has like personally messaged and mailed me after this webinar was scheduled. So after the lockdown, so many students who are studying in India, they have come back to their home to Nepal. And at the present, there is complete lockdown in the country.
No, Samit, I totally agree with you, because you are the secretary of that NEPTA. You are representing that country. So I totally agree with you. That's all our concern. Again and again talking about Nepal. The reason is we know very many students are held up there. So I'm telling you, without the lockdown opens, international flights are allowed to land to Bangalore. We are not. And after that, we give 1 month time for them to prepare for the examination. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Suresh, sir.
Sir, this is for syndicate and senate member, BOI chairman of RGHS, sir. This is my request, sir, on behalf of the students of RGHS. Sir, actually now webinar classes, online classes are going on. And I don't think it is 100% like how we teach in normal classes.
No, I agree.
Second thing, sir, second thing is there is no practical exposure to students, especially third years and final years, where they have to come in contact with the patients. So that exposure is completely, it is not there. So what many students are requesting is, sir, like only Senate and syndicate members can do this, sir. First year, second year and third year BPT students, you have to allow one-time relaxation, like carry over, all subjects carry over, first time, one-time relaxation because of this pandemic, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The second thing, sir, one-time relaxation you can give, sir, like all subjects carry over.
To our semester or year? What carry over? Reddy, Vice President of IAP.
Sir,
I have a question for you.
Sir. No, sir. Suppose first year. Sir, first year student, if they fail in more than 3 subjects,
yes,
the present rule is they will lose 6 months.
Correct.
So you should not allow them to lose 6 months and you promote them to second year.
Yeah,
and ask them to clear the.
No, that we have kept in mind.
Yes, sir. That is one point, sir. The second point, sir, for final year students, anyway, there is no carryover. So you have to give some grace marks for final year students, sir.
Sir,
we are giving 5 marks now already.
Already grace marks available. We already have.
No, sir. Grace marks are already available, sir. But because of the pandemic, you may have to increase the grace marks.
Suresh, sir,
It is only one time, sir.
I'll come to this. There was almost one more opinion was given.
Sir, let me finish my all things, sir. Then you can give, sir.
Yeah, there was almost one more view.
Second one is you have to increase the grace marks, whatever is available now, 3, 4 or 5, probably you have to increase. The third important thing, sir, live practical classes you have to take rather than the theory classes, sir. Theory classes is fine, sir, but practical demonstrations have to be initiated for the students before they come for the exam, sir. The fourth important thing is, very important is, most of the principals are here. The valuation, what you are going to do, please do it very liberally this time, one time, because you cannot pass the students just like that, unlike other things, because ours is a medical faculty. We have to allow them to write exam, but examination, valuation, you have to be liberal, sir, because most of the students are worried about this. So you have to be liberal in valuation. The last important thing is, even practicals, you cannot conduct practicals on patients because they are panicked, sir. You give patients for practical demonstration, definitely students are panicked. So you have to allow them to do it on models, as many colleges are already doing it. But be liberal in terms of giving question paper or valuation for the one-time relaxation, sir. So if you consider all these things, all the students who are listening today, they will be the most happiest people if you can accept all these things, apart from what we have discussed before.
Suresh, sir,
This is for the students' benefit, sir. Only one-time relaxation. I think only Ifti sir can do this. Is the final authority in the university. So if Ifti sir can put forward, and we will request all other syndicate members to approve it, sir.
Vice President of IAP, Reddy sir. PG Board of Studies, Ravi sir is there. UG Board of Studies, Vijay sir is there. Senator Sai is there.
Dr. Suresh
Daily.
Ifti sir. Ifti sir.
This is the syndicate and senate, sir. So request Sai and Ifti sir to do it, sir.
Dr.
Suresh, I request Vijay sir to comment on this.
Now that is IAP.
On the panelists, on behalf of all the viewers, our syndicate member, our very caring, concerned syndicate member, Dr. has already answered this in his statement by a single sentence, that Rajiv Gandhi University has always been a student-friendly university.
Yes.
But still students are scared.
Yeah. And second thing, being a student-friendly university, we understand the crisis in this time of COVID-19, and definitely there will be alterations and decisions made in favor of the students and in benefit of the students. Everything may not be able to be announced all at once. There are certain set of team members who are working towards it in a very confidential and strong way, for the better.
Carry over and giving grace marks, definitely you have to announce, sir.
If sir, I have one comment to make, sir.
Sir,
Yes,
tell me, Samit.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
sir, my first question is why Rajiv Gandhi University is being so reluctant to online examinations? Because if the lockdown is going to be for another 6 or 7 months, and if there is no possibility of written exam, then the batches that were produced is going to get long. One thing that, sir, and the second thing is that yes, there is chances of like copying or doing internet cheating in mode of online examination, but then we can always have like clinical based questions and all the examination happening at the same time, so that, for example, we have question like there is a 65-year-old woman with this problem, so they cannot copy the answers. So if we have kind of examination at the same time and they have to write it online at the same time given in time frame, then I think will be very less probability of doing miscalculation. So I think rather than being completely reluctant about having the online examination, there should be some way out of online examination.
Yes, Dr. Shamit, we got your Dr. Shamit, we got your question. Dr. Iftikhar Ali, will you like to answer that question, or Dr. Sai Kumar?
Samit, see, things are very clear. This Rajiv Gandhi University is a health university, which renowned in India. The problem is we have 4, 7, 8, 9 councils involved in this. Medical council, dental, Ayush, Ayurveda. So council is a more power center with the higher professional council and the UGC. So we have some norms to be followed also by that also. So if the head of the medical, dental, this system comes online with online, then university may not have a problem. But we having with a yearly exam, not a semester exam, but yearly exam, now we have some time to go. As you said, if it goes for a longer run, longer time, then I agree. Something we have to see that what has to be made.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Iftikhar Ali. Dr. Shamit, it's not that university will not take a decision on online examinations. It's not that we don't want to change. At the current scenario being present, there are certain level of preparations that is required, and that is why the university is waiting and preparing itself for the next current change. So everything requires some time and breathing space, and we need to allow the university with its officials and with its legal experts to work on these areas as to see how best we can do it, because it's a big university with a lot of students and a lot of programs running in. So we need to give ample time for the university officials to work and come to the conclusions by which it can direct its directors and other board of studies and experts to work on these areas. Thank you very much. Dr. Mallikarjun, is there another question in line from the students or from the viewers? This is the last question.
We have one more important question. Again, it is from the Nepal. They are asking that there are many textbooks and other hard copy which are left out in the hostels, and they have not got it. And they personally believe that the hard copy, the notes or the textbooks, what they have.
No, we are done online, Mallikarjun. All the textbooks are coming online now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The question is, considering this, although university is giving a lot of time for the exams, how far they can study during this COVID situation?
Praveen Aran, sir.
Can I?
Yes, Dr. Sai Kumar, yes.
I would like to just summarize now what my friend Suresh Babu Reddy had put a question, and even Shamit from Nepal. So I think all the concerns are related to student community. Whether the students will be given that time to come out of this, first of all, mental trauma of lockdown and the change in the education methods, and how to go about with the exams. So let me tell you, Rajiv Gandhi University has always been student-friendly university, as you rightly put, and they have never put students into any mental trauma. So that is the reason our Vice Chancellor has already announced that once the lockdown is lifted and students are coming back to the college campus, they will be given at least a month time for their exams. I think that answers the question that students will be given that ample amount of time to go through all their lectures and be prepared. And even if it is required, if the situation requires, even the exams might be rescheduled according to the scenario. That is one thing. And coming to about the grace marks and about the liberal valuation, all those things, See, when students are allowed to prepare in a way where they are mentally relaxed and answering their exams, I think that itself indicates that they are given that liberal methods to for their exams, and ultimately the results also will be good. And Rajiv Gandhi University has always been gracious enough to give the grace marks, which is not there for other faculties in our university. So physiotherapy has that grace marks, 1% grace marks. So already we enjoy that liberty of getting the grace marks for passing, including the final years. And coming to about the textbooks, all those things, as Dr. UT Iftikhar said that all online textbooks are available. So they can go through those books, and that is the reason online classes are also scheduled so that the students be prepared and be in touch with their regular schedule. Though it doesn't mean that it is the 100% what we used to do. So once we are back, so we will make sure that all those deficiencies are covered and be prepared for the exams.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. We have Dr. Vijay Samuel, sir, UG Chairman, Board of Studies. Sir, you want to share something, sir?
Sir, kindly unmute your mic, sir.
I'm concerned about the exam only, sir, because already we are scheduled the exams for April. Now it is almost 3 months running over. And the students who already wanted to join internship in this schedule, it has to be going apart. So any alternatives for this? Only for this, online can be done only for this segment of students.
Okay, sir. So there was a direct question for UT Iftikhar Ali, sir. One of the students has mentioned you are talking about internship in Nepal. So they want to hear more about internship and their affiliation and the permission and which hospitals can be done, where it can be done. Sir, I think you have to unmute.
This was a very serious discussion we had in the last syndicate meeting and even in the principals meeting also. And very clearly, we and the Dean of Allied Sciences, we all together discussed that we have to help the students who are out, like Nepal is the main, because there are more students there from other faculty. And we are identifying few students who are there. Now, if one student is there in particular hospital, in civil hospital or orthoplast or any hospital, Beer hospital, whatever Nepal hospital they are there, if they are working, they need to get a certificate. NOC from there, they'll work for 3 months or 2 months or 1 month. How many months they have worked, they have to get that. So many months they have worked in that hospital. But it should be very genuine. See, lockout time, even Nepal also was locked down these days. So this is one concern. And the concern is we don't want to give much extension for internship because we can talk about extension. But the problem is extension, it will again hamper their postgraduate entrance in different parts of the country, abroad, whatever it may be. So to make it very clear, we will consider, so whoever I'm telling you, don't panic, whoever held up in Nepal for the internship students, you see that whichever hospital you have worked, please come with those hospital certificate. We come to the university or concerned principal college of the colleges. We'll discuss with the principals of the concerned colleges. Then we will take a call and help you out.
Thank you, sir. Before we go to the next question, we'd like to hear the same question in different deemed university from KLE, NITTE, and Devraj RS. So, Sanjay Kumar, sir. Sanjeev Kumar, sir. What are your views on the concerns which were being discussed under Rajiv Gandhi University? What do you comment on these?
No, there is very interesting information given by Dr. Iftikhar.
Sanjeev sir was a part of Rajiv Gandhi only.
Yes. So he has given very good information. That is, the students from other place, they can do their internship. Yeah, very encouraging for the students. They can continue their internship there. Also, very interesting is that even the BOS chairman are encouraging the students by the virtue of improving the marks in the form of what you can say that grace marks and all. This is very encouraging. Actually, this is the time when we can support the students, we can help them, we can support them in such a manner that they can come up very fast. And yes, what mental trauma they are going through or what they are facing now, that can easily be little bit shared by us by means of supporting them. And I'm sure whatever arrangements, definitely by the leadership of Iftikhar sir and Praveen Aron and Sai Kumar and Ramesh, all will definitely help the students, and the students will definitely come up. We are also making some arrangement for our own students. We are considering their flights. You can see that what maximum we can be able to help them out in our university. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. In 5 minutes, we are going to conclude the entire session. And
So Praveen sir, you didn't answer my question, sir.
yes, Dr. Suresh.
Sir, that carryover system, sir, first, second, third year, sir, one-time relaxation.
Yes, there is an extreme relaxation that has been considered, and the students may have certain privileges. The decision
Yes,
is
sir,
in the Senate and syndicate right now. Probably in this,
Okay, sir.
they'll be releasing a clear demarcation on what are the benefits the students are going to enjoy. However, every student has to go through the examination process. There is certain level of relaxations. Probably instead of 1 year, they'll have the privileges within consecutive 6 months. There are decisions in various forms that is happening, and so the final decisions will be from the syndicate decision, because that's the supreme body of the university, and they will be releasing the decisions with the approval of the legal experts and others in the coming days, within few days. That is the reason why the final year timetable and the postgraduate timetables are already released, and decisions with regards these are pending. And the university was also looking at various other possibilities of conducting the examinations in the coming days. And if this COVID continues, definitely there are going to be changes in the systems. These changes in the systems cannot be outrightly implemented without students being exposed to it. There is certain level of time period that is required for exposing the students, and only then going ahead with the students. No students will be taken away the benefit, and they will not have to come one fine day and appear for a different scene totally. So we will definitely consider students. University has also already been considerate, and they are definitely working on it day and night, because even during this COVID crisis, the honorable VC and the registrar evaluation with few directors and certain syndicate members and Senate members have been regularly visiting the university with the concerns of the students individually, because each faculty has its own levels of concern. And they have been addressing in this past 45 days. There are the Honorable Vice Chancellor and certain of the administrative officers of the Senate and syndicate have not actually stayed home simply. This, and which includes our dear Dr. Iftikhar Ali and our Professor Dr. Sai Kumar. They have been constantly visiting, and I am personally a witness to all these things. So keeping this in mind, I know how hard they have been working for the benefit of students, and definitely there will be direct guidelines that will be given from the university in favor for the betterment of the university, college, affiliated colleges, and the students. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Taneja wants to say something. Dhruv, Taneja, kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just wanted to share one thing, as I am outside of Karnataka as of now, though I am studied from Padma Shri and under Rajiv Gandhi University itself. So though I am working into one deemed to be university, and there was a meeting being called up by the Honorable President and Honorable Registrar on 20th of April, and by the time itself we were having around 900 plus cases of COVID. So there were strict instructions, and the instructions were even given to the principals, respected principals as well, regarding the preparation for examinations, because we were due with the examination the last of the April itself. And we already came to know, and there were instructions from the government to our authorities, like we have to be like, there will be an extended lockdown period for people in Jaipur as well. So the instructions were, what they have told us to prepare is, like there will be a development of software, and how what Ali Irani sir has earlier mentioned about the MCQs, but like there will be a development of software, and how the exams will be taken. What they have told is, like it will be absolutely on the same lines how the TOEFL exam and the IELTS are being prepared. The students will just see the question for 1 minute, one instant only, but the timings are not yet fixed about it. How much minutes will be given for one student for appearing one question? But on the same line, the practicals was a major issue. So what they have told is like the practicals will be taken again on the e-learning classes based only, and we will give some sort of liberty, definitely, by like the student himself can appear and the syllabus will be distributed to them. Among that syllabus only, we will be like the tutor will be there online, and the cases will be distributed to the student, and they have to be ready with one among their family members himself or themselves. So the practical can be conducted on them on live, and some amount of time will be given to them. And by keeping into consideration, like what Suresh sir has also mentioned, liberty, there are strict instructions definitely that liberty should be given in the MCQs questions as well, because that is mandatory in the current situations. So these were the instructions being given already to us, and we are already working on it. So mostly within another month, we are going to conduct the examinations as well.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce Anathan.
Thank you, sir.
This
Thank you very
one,
much.
Praveen sir.
Yes, Dr. Speaker.
See, now anyway, it's almost 2 hours now for this panel discussion.
Yes.
I think it's the longest discussion we ever had.
Yes.
And that's nice. Thanks to the people who organized behind this, Mahendra, Ayyappan, all these people. I'm very glad that they did this. Very informative and required. And I want to tell even Danesh also, this Sanjeev sir, Danesh sir, all these people. The UGC has already told about the carry-out system. I think UGC are with the carry-out system. So that one thing we want to convey, we'll discuss with the Vice Chancellor, Praveen sir.
Yes, sure.
Then one more about uploading our old question papers in Rajiv Gandhi. All old question papers should be uploaded in the website now, our this one, so that students will be benefited with the old question bank. That's
Sure.
one more, we'll do it, sir.
Okay, right now we are giving the time over to Dr. V.R. Ayyappan, before which I would request all the panelists to watch a small slideshow. There may not be music, but there is a lot of information. This is totally about the entire subjects about e-learning and contemporary learning. And I invite all of you to watch this slideshow, after which Dr. Ayyappan will be taking over.
But think how terrible you feel if you hurt one of those dragons instead of scare them off. Dad, you okay? Hello? Strange. The first place to go happens to be on fire. It's almost like someone. It's not the only island on the map. Just a minor setback. Let's get a move on. I can't do it. Look at all this fragrant, crispy apples, the sweet golden honey, these figs. Oh, have you tasted this man's figs?
Copper, we haven't tasted any big day.
Well, maybe you should. Maybe you all should. Maybe we all should. I like the way these traders think. We'd like to propose a competition of sorts. A competition? To display the quality of our livestock, our produce, our spice. A cooking competition. A cooking competition? Why didn't you say so? Hello, those mooches, not chefs. What does this got to prove? I'm so hungry that they cook like rough that I still gorged myself until I was sick. Either way, I ended up sick.
Preach, brother. Or peach, brother. Whichever you prefer. I personally would prefer the peaches instead.
Still take burn water provisions.
Good point.
Gather in your great hall and prepare for some of the most delicious meals you've ever tasted. May the merchants with the best victuals win. And may rough nuts and I officiate.
Judging we shall go.
We see. We need bark, not the whole tree. Oh, that's a good one, son. Tell your old man how to gather bark. Yeah, not now, son. plant can't just begin to set a couple of fires or ruin all of our food. There has to be more to it. You're giving a lot too much credit. Sometimes a plot is just a plot, even if it's a plot. You know,
Indeed, but that's why the mountain there can meet so many.
I have no idea what those two are talking about. Oh, you say that I really fear this stuff. So delicious. You don't need one that the twins
That's all for now, and over to Dr. Ayyappa.
Sir, overall 53,732 viewers as of now. Under the leadership of Ifti sir, actually I was getting lots of calls from students. I spoke to Ifti sir. He told to do a webinar. Sir, thank you Ifti sir for this wonderful idea. 53,730. Yes, sir, your leadership. 53,730 viewership as of now. 4,700 questions. Lots of unanswered. Basically, we convert that into results as Iti sir and Sai sir and Praveen sir told, and even Danesh sir and Sanjeev sir, you have told we'll convert them into the solutions in university and we will go ahead. Since it is already 2 hours, I would like to thank all the panelists. First, Professor Ifti Ali sir, our mentor under your leadership. Sai Kumar sir, Senate member, Rajiv Gandhi University. Sanjeev Kumar sir, Dean Principal. Danesh sir, Principal, Nitte College. Dhruv from Rajasthan. Shamit, General Secretary, Nepal. Gopakumar sir from Kerala, KAPC. Vijay, Board of Studies Chairman UG. Praveen sir, Board of Studies Chairman PG. Apparao sir from NTR University. Ramesh Kumar sir from Devraj Aras Institute. Shravan sir from Telangana. A long list, and all the principals of Rajiv Gandhi University across India, across the globe, all faculties, all students, we all are with you. The entire community of teaching faculties are with you. We have done a bit from our end. Still your questions would be answered. I thank all the panelists to responding us. Very important, our dynamic, charming Vice President of IAP, Suresh Babu Reddy sir. Sir, your question is valid and I will fight for your question, sir. Second is Ali Irani sir, always a dynamic man, always he comes on for problem solving. I thank the entire panelist and entire principal for this. Thank you. We'll conclude the meeting.
Thank you.
Mallikarjun sir, later.
Thank you, Mallikarjun. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mallikarjun.
Thank you all. Thank you all being panelists.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
Thank you all. It's a wonderful session.
Thank you all. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Praveen sir.
Vinod
Thank you very
Babu,
much.
Dr. Danesh.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all. Suresh Babu sir.
Sir.
Thank you, Mallikarjun sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mallikarjun.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
For
sir.
having this panel discussion.
Thank you, Praveen sir. Thank you, Mallikarjun. Thank you, Sai.